My parents stole my daughter's cello and sold it for $87,000. I knew something was wrong the moment we walked into my parents' house. The air smelled like fresh paint and sawdust, like money had been spent quickly and quietly. My 11-year-old daughter Lucy skipped ahead of me, excited to practice her antique cello in my grandmother's old music room. The cello had been a gift from her great-grandmother, an instrument valued at $87,000 and cherished far beyond its price. But when we opened the music room door, the humidifier was humming, the chair was in place, the stand untouched, and the cello was gone. Lucy didn't cry. She just stared at the empty corner where it always rested and asked softly, "Did great-grandma change her mind?" My heart sank. I went to the kitchen, where my parents and my sister Rachel were casually sitting. When I asked where the cello was, my father said it plainly. We sold it. They had sold Lucy's cello and used the money to build a backyard swimming pool for Rachel's children. They called it a family asset. They said Lucy would be fine with a student instrument. They told me not to inform my grandmother, because she didn't need stress. I went home shaken. Lucy practiced that night on a borrowed cello that sounded hollow and thin. She tried to stay strong, even whispering that maybe the instrument wasn't really meant for her yet. Watching her shrink into herself hurt more than the betrayal. The music room had been Lucy's safe place. In our family, Rachel's kids were loud and celebrated, while Lucy was expected to be quiet and grateful. My grandmother had noticed. She carved out that room as Lucy's sanctuary. The antique cello wasn't just a gift, it was recognition of her talent. The next day, I visited my grandmother at her new assisted living apartment. I told her everything. She didn't cry. She listened calmly and asked for details, documentation, timelines, proof. Then she said something that changed everything. The cello was never theirs to sell. It turned out my grandmother had placed the instrument in a legal trust. She was the trustee. Lucy was the beneficiary. The cello had been formally appraised, documented, and insured. My parents had unknowingly sold property that didn't belong to them. Weeks passed. My parents proudly posted photos of their new pool. Rachel boasted about summer memories. Lucy grew quieter but kept practicing. Then we received an invitation to the pool's opening party. My grandmother called and said firmly, "We're going." That Saturday, the backyard was full of relatives and neighbors. My father gave a speech about family and blessings. Rachel toasted to the children. Then the gate opened. My grandmother walked in, accompanied by her lawyer. The laughter faded. She calmly announced that the cello had been held in trust for Lucy. It was never a family asset. It had been illegally sold. Her lawyer distributed legal notices. The cello had already been recovered. And my parents had 60 days to vacate the house. The house, too, belonged to my grandmother. The buyer demanded repayment. The pool, once a symbol of pride, became a financial burden. Guests left quietly. My parents looked stunned. Rachel stood speechless. Lucy squeezed my hand and whispered, "Do I get it back?" "Yes," my grandmother replied. Later, when Lucy opened the cello case and saw her instrument safely returned, she hugged her great-grandmother with tears in her eyes. It felt like more than recovery. It felt like justice. In the months that followed, my parents blamed everyone but themselves. They tried guilt, anger, and denial. None of it worked. The law was clear. Lucy changed after that. She stood taller. She laughed louder. She stopped apologizing for existing. She understood that what happened wasn't her fault. And I changed too. I stopped mistaking silence for peace. Eventually, my grandmother moved back into her home on her own terms. The music room was restored, and Lucy's cello once again filled the house with rich, powerful sound. When Lucy auditioned for youth orchestra, she walked in with confidence, not just because of her talent, but because she had learned something important. If someone tries to steal your future and build something shiny for themselves, you don't have to accept it. You can tell the truth. You can draw boundaries. You can protect what belongs to you. And sometimes, justice arrives quietly, with paperwork, clarity, and a grandmother who refuses to let a child be erased.